Welcome to the Growing Tall Poppies podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nat Green, and I'm so excited to have you join me as we discuss what it means to navigate your way through post-traumatic growth and not just survive, but to thrive after trauma. Through our podcast, we will explore ways for you to create a life filled with greater purpose, self-awareness, and a deep inner peace. Through integrating the many years of knowledge and professional experience, as well as the wisdom of those who have experienced trauma firsthand, we will combine psychology, accelerated approaches, coaching, and personal experience to assist you to learn, to grow, and to thrive. I hope to empower you to create deeper awareness and understanding and stronger connections with yourself and with others, whilst also paving the way for those who have experienced trauma and adversity to reduce their suffering and become the very best versions of themselves in order to thrive. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. Welcome to Growing Tall Poppies, the podcast where we delve into powerful stories of resilience, growth, and transformation as a result of trauma and of adversity. I'm your host, Dr. Nat Green, and I just wanted to take a moment today to start with a huge thank you to each and every one of you, my loyal and amazing listeners who gave me the space and the grace I needed over the past 2 weeks while I've been really unwell. So you will have noticed that I actually missed releasing an episode last week as I simply didn't have the capacity to do one. This really hit me hard, and I really wanted to do that. I wanted to get up out of bed. I wanted to release the episode because I know so many of you look forward to it. In fact, I've had messages from a number of you last week saying, "What's happened? Are you okay? Tuesday's our favourite day of the week. What, is there no episode?" So I know that you did notice, and I am so grateful for that and so touched at the beautiful messages of support and for your reaching out. So thank you for your patience. Your patience and all the beautiful messages of support really mean so much to me. So let me just give you a bit of background. A few weeks ago, I went away for a week to an amazing event. We're up in Airlie Beach, and it was absolutely beautiful. I'd never been there before, and I was so excited. I'd spent all year waiting for this event, looking forward to it with great anticipation, spending a week with like-minded people, all of us who are looking to impact the world in our own ways. We had the most amazing time. And I really enjoy building on our relationships and knowing that these amazing ladies truly understand and get me. I was so pleased with myself as I had a couple of episodes up my sleeve and they were recorded and uploaded, ready to go, so that when I got home, I didn't have to rush anything. And for that, I was super grateful. I could spend time integrating my learnings from the week away and focused on future episodes and the big picture for this podcast. Unfortunately, however, upon my return, I was knocked down big time. I can't remember the last time I was actually that sick, with one of the dreaded lurgies doing the rounds at the moment, but this coupled with my underlying invisible illnesses completely laid me out, stopped me in my tracks. And, as I look back a couple of weeks down the track, this was a significant moment for me, as my brain immediately went to that deep-seated pattern I've developed over my lifetime with oh my God, I don't have time to be sick. I need to get up and drag myself out of bed to do the episode, to do the things. Because life just keeps on going and you don't have time to be sick. And each day that went by that first week, I focused on what I should be doing, who I would be letting down by not getting up and doing what had to be done. And I stayed focused on wearing that badge of busyness as a badge of honor, which, to be honest, I had done so well throughout my life. However, I just couldn't get up and do it. I was honestly too unwell. And early last week, the biggest shift happened. I gave into it. I stopped fighting and I actually embraced the experience. Don't get me wrong, I definitely didn't enjoy it. However, I really felt that shift into giving myself the gift of rest and recovery, neither of which I've historically done very well, if I'm really honest. And I noticed that by truly honoring my health and listening to what my body and my mind needed last week, I was able to take the time I needed to rest and to heal at a deeper level than would ever have been possible previously. So instead of my thought of, I don't have time to be sick, I was able to reframe that to think, I'm embracing this time to allow myself to heal. Yeah, a significant shift, particularly for me, someone who's always gone a million miles an hour, done all the things, and never given myself permission to rest. Because I think part of me had this underlying fear that if I stop, I might fall in a heap and never keep going. I might never get back up. But here I am. I've lived to tell the tale. The world didn't explode. I didn't implode. And I know that by giving myself permission and allowing myself the time to rest and recover, well, it's still a work in progress, but giving myself that time to rest allowed myself to get what I needed. And a lot of that inner healing is still taking place. And it's slowly but surely making a difference. So, whilst I apologise for not delivering on the episode last week, those of you who know me well know that integrity and honesty are my two greatest values. And I do pride myself on showing up on these episodes with both and with the deepest heartfelt gratitude for all of you and my amazing guests. I want to ensure that I show up as the best version of me, not just for the sake of showing up because I made a commitment and I have to. I want to ensure that I lead by example and that I talk the talk and walk the walk. So by giving myself the gift of rest for these past 2 weeks, I can now truly see the gift of trauma with so much more clarity than I ever have before. And that leads me to the topic of this episode. This week, the episode is around the gift of trauma. I don't have a guest lined up for this week, so today you'll get to listen to my ramblings and reflections on this topic. We've seen in recent episodes that many of our guests have brought up the concept of trauma as a gift. It's a perspective that might seem really counterintuitive at first. How can trauma be a gift? Trauma's shit. It's awful. It's certainly not a gift. But as we've discussed in previous episodes and we'll go through today, it can actually be incredibly empowering and transformative, often though it doesn't feel like it at the time. So trauma is often seen as a purely negative experience, something to be feared and to be avoided at all costs. And what's really important is to acknowledge that trauma can be incredibly painful and challenging. It is. But what if we could shift our perspective? What if instead of seeing trauma as something that breaks us, it knocks us down and we can't get up again? What if we could see it as something that could ultimately build us up? What would be different then? Would that change things for us? Could this slight shift in perspective make things different? Many of our recent guests have shared their personal journeys through trauma and how their experiences have led to profound personal growth. They've talked about how facing their trauma head on allowed them to develop new strengths, insights, and a deeper sense of empathy and connection to themselves and to others in their worlds. So the idea of trauma as a gift certainly doesn't mean minimizing the pain or difficulty of the experience. Your trauma and your experience has likely been horrendous. It's been difficult, it's been challenging, and there's been so much pain involved in that. Don't underestimate the impact it's had on you. Rather, it's about recognizing the potential for growth and transformation that your trauma can be the catalyst for. So let's look at 3 key areas. So firstly, that of resilience. Trauma often forces us to confront our deepest fears and our insecurities. And in doing so, it can help us develop incredible resilience. And after going through what we've been through, we learn that we can survive and actually even thrive despite facing these significant challenges. You'll remember our amazing guest, Joe Muirhead, in episode 4 of the podcast. If you want to go back and listen to that, I really invite you to do that, because Joe talks so openly around breaking the stigma of her cancer diagnosis and the longer-term impact on chronic health conditions that have developed subsequent to her cancer diagnosis. And she also highlighted the need for a support system and for advocating for ourselves in a health system where people often don't listen. And she really highlighted the importance of developing resilience and how doing that helps us to bounce forward. The second component is around empathy. Going through trauma, we know, can deepen our empathy for other people. By going through what we've been through, we really get it. And I know a lot of our guests have been health professionals who have been so amazing and openly shared from a place of real vulnerability about what it's like from their perspective, supposedly being the professional, the one that others come to for advice and for assistance. And then suddenly these roles are reversed and they're in the chair as a patient or a client. And every single one of these amazing women that we've interviewed on the podcast episodes so far have so openly shared about the experience that they've been through, having really shone a light on how they show up for their clients, their patients, their friends, their family, and allowed them to take things to a deeper level, because they know that they now, as a result of facing their own struggles, are much better able to understand and support others in their struggles because they truly get it. This was really demonstrated in episode 10, where Emma opened up about her toxic relationship and about her burnout and how she coped with that and how she worked extremely hard to do the inner work so that she now helps others do their own inner work. And then we have Kelly from episode 12. Kelly, I've had so much feedback, amazing feedback about the episode that we did with Kelly, where she vulnerably opened up about her own mental health struggles, her own trauma history, and the loss of her amazing brother to suicide, and the significant impact that this has had on her, her family, her friends, and the wider network of people she's associated with. Now, Kelly has developed the most amazing empathy as a result of the struggles she's faced, and she now pays that forward and really works hard to reduce the stigma associated with mental health. The third part is around clarity and purpose. We know that one of the other gifts that trauma can bring is around getting that clarity and really finding that sense of true purpose, what you were on this earth to do. Many people find that experiencing trauma brings a new clarity to their lives. It can strip away the non-essential. It really shines a light on what matters in our worlds to us and to the people that matter. It helps us focus on what truly matters. And for some, this clarity can lead to a renewed sense of purpose and direction. And this was really highlighted by Lisa in episode 11, where she also talked about her diagnosis with breast cancer, but also opened up about the loss of her mum. And these two significant traumas really led to her getting clearer on her purpose and really paying that forward by making a difference for people, health professionals who can work from home. She showed them a new way to be, to live, and really paid that forward and made a difference in so many lives. Then we have Kerry, who we spoke to in episode 13, who experienced a major health issue with a heart attack. And while she still has ongoing health issues and needs to learn how to manage that, and she's still a work in progress, as she openly shared, Kerry got so clear on her purpose. And as a result, she is now changing the lives of children and making a difference, working towards her mission of impacting 1 million children around the world. Now, these amazing guests could be any one of you. I'd love to interview any of you who've been through trauma and can relate to this and see, yeah, I am resilient. I have greater empathy now, and I am really clear on my purpose. Please reach out. Let me know. I'd love to share your story and get it out in the world and really highlight that trauma doesn't have to be this awful, awful experience, that whilst it's terrible and it's uncomfortable, we can turn it around and use it as an opportunity for growth and transformation and really see it as the gift that I believe it is. So moving forward after trauma isn't about forgetting or ignoring what happened. It's about us integrating the experience into our lives in a way that allows us to heal and to grow. I'm going to highlight 4 key steps that can help in this process as we start to move forward after our trauma. The first is around acknowledging your pain. First step in moving forward is to fully acknowledge and accept your pain. This might involve talking about your experiences with a trusted friend, a therapist, a coach, whoever it is in your world, or expressing your feelings through writing, journaling, or art, or getting out in nature. The second component is around seeking support. Healing from trauma often requires getting support from others. Every single one of our guests to date has emphasised the importance of having a support community around them, whether that be their friends, their family, people from their church, communities, psychologists, support groups. You get to choose the person you want to support you. Don't be afraid to reach out for help when you need it. That's one of the key messages we've got over and over again in all the interviews so far. The third component is around developing coping strategies. It's really important that we find healthy ways to cope with our feelings. That's crucial. So whether this be mindfulness practice, physical exercise, creative outlets, whatever works for you, there's no right or wrong. You can try one, and if it doesn't work, try another and try another until you find the thing that you feel fits best with you. Experiment with different strategies until you know what it is that's your thing. And the fourth component is to focus on growth. Try to shift your focus from what you've lost, what you no longer have, to what you can gain from the experience. This might involve setting new goals, developing new skills, doing something totally different to what you've done in the past. Or it might be around finding ways to help others who are going through similar experiences. You find whatever works for you. So let's just revisit a couple of the incredible stories that we've heard on this podcast already. For example, Sue talked about having gone through lots and lots of things in her life, often not being aware of what it was, culminating in her finally getting the realization that she had multiple personality disorder, which it was at the time, now known as dissociative identity disorder. And she openly shared what that's been like for her, knowing that she has a number of personas that take on various roles and allow her to do the most amazing things. She talked very openly about it not being without considerable struggle. However, she also really embraced the power of self-advocacy and really leaning on other people for assistance, not feeling that it was all within her. And you'll really get a lot of tips in episode 14, where we spoke with Sue at length around how she manages to reframe things and always look for the how she can turn things around, to utilize it to her advantage, to help her become the best version of herself. Sue is an amazing woman. And I know so many of you were touched by the episode and have reached out and sent some lovely messages. And she'll continue to go on and do many amazing things. And she has so much still to give and really looking to build greater understanding around mental health and mental illness. Then we have our guest, Kelly, who I've already mentioned earlier. So Kelly was interviewed on episode 12, and Kelly talked about her experience with traumas that led her to become an advocate for mental health and how this has led to her helping countless others find their own path to healing, and to talk about suicide, to not shut it down and hide it. This really is so important and so powerful, and a huge part of what makes Kelly the amazing woman that she is, that she didn't stay quiet. She hasn't taken no for an answer. She has persevered and persisted, and she's a powerhouse. And what a gift it was to interview her. And another one of our guests, Hayley, shared about how she had had a number of traumas through her childhood, culminating in a really toxic relationship that she found the strength to leave. And she really embraced doing the inner work that she knew was needed. And again, not taking no for an answer. Hayley went on to do a degree in psychology and really acknowledge the empathy that she developed as a result of her own traumas. It has also really highlighted the need for compassion, compassion with self and compassion with others. And she's an amazing lady on a wonderful mission. And all of these people that we've experienced, every single one of them in the episodes to date have highlighted the gift of trauma to them. Not one of them has said that they just focused on the pain. These stories are powerful reminders that trauma, while incredibly challenging, can also open the door to many new possibilities, personal growth, transformation, and the people that they have become today as a result of their trauma. That's wherein lies the gift. Had they not been through what they've been through, they would not be who they are today. And that would not be paid forward in the way it is today by these amazing guests that have been on the podcast that I've had the privilege to interview, and that you listeners have been gifted with hearing the stories of. So yeah, that's probably about it from me today. Time for me to go and have my rest and continue on my recovery journey. So in wrapping up today, I want to remind you that seeing trauma as a gift doesn't mean downplaying its impact or pretending that everything was fine. It's about finding a way to move forward that feels right for you, that acknowledges your pain and also embraces the potential for your growth and your transformation. If you or someone you know is struggling with trauma, remember that help is available. Reach out to friends, to family, mental health professionals, anyone you think can offer support and guidance. Thank you so much for joining me today on Growing Tall Poppies. I hope this discussion has offered you some new perspectives and insights, and I'm really looking forward to interviewing my next guest later this week and bringing you another episode with an amazing tall poppy next week. Have a great week. That's it from me. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Growing Tall Poppies. It is my deepest hope that today's episode may have inspired and empowered you to step fully into your post-traumatic growth so that you can have absolute clarity around who you are, what matters the most to you, and to assist you to release your negative emotions and regulate your nervous system so you can fully thrive. New episodes are published every Tuesday, and I hope you'll continue to join us as we explore both the strategies and the personal qualities required to fully live a life of post-traumatic growth and to thrive. So if it feels aligned to you and really resonates, then I invite you to hit subscribe, and it would mean the world to us if you could share this episode with others who you feel may benefit too. You may also find me on Instagram at Growing Tall Poppies and Facebook, Dr. Natalie Green. Remember, every moment is an opportunity to look for the lessons and to learn and increase your ability to live the life you desire and deserve. So for now, stay connected, stay inspired, stand tall like the tall poppy you are, and keep shining your light brightly in the world. Bye for now.